just for me. Probably what I'm doing. Every day in the studio. Every day in the studio. Every day no fully shit. In the streets with the Yeezys on. In the streets with the hoodie up. In the streets.
Hi, it is Robert, and this is a little different. Just a little short little intro, but today is something that's near and dear, close to my heart. Because as I already tell you guys, I'm a therapist, and a lot of the stuff that I do is very micro level work. And this segment that I have, I will be doing without costs. Because I'm going to get a little more clinical, things like that. Well, it's still funny, but still doing my thing. But I really want to reach a wide range of audiences, not just to tune into the show, but to tune into themselves and mental health. And that's, having a macro level effect. And I know I preach, talk to a therapist, get your mental health all online, but I think y'all are tired of hearing my voice, and this is why I wanted to create the Why Not Mental Health Initiative, where it's me and other people talking about mental health, why they got into it, has it been helpful or effective for them, or what things they are needing to go further, or they're fine where they're at. And without further ado, I have my brother. Not anything else that he does. Maybe one of these days he'll jump on the podcast and we'll talk about all the other stuff that he does. But just Johnnyraygill, my brother. And his and recently, as we've talked, and I know about disclosing different things to people, we've talked, but he's had a very interesting journey into mental health. And besides of me explaining it, I would like to share the floor with him about his journey and why choose mental health, why get into therapy.
First of all, thank you for having me on your platform. I really appreciate it. It's a pleasure to be here, an honor to be here. I, like everyone else, was trapped in my apartment when this COVID situation first happened. There was a lot of things going on in my personal life and in my career, and there have been obviously a lot of conversations about therapy and specifically about people of color, making sure that their, mental journey is something that they're attacking in the same way that they, might attack, physical wellness, working out and things like that. So I just knew it was time. And I remember a situation happened to me on a Tuesday, and then literally Thursday, I was in my first therapy session. So I'm not the kind of person that knows I need to do something, and I put it off until a year from now, and I say no, you need to. Sometimes you have to look yourself in the mirror and have a conversation with those dark demons that are there, that you're afraid of, that we stuff under beds, that we put in closets, that we do all those things. So that's why I went forward with it.
So I'm just really curious. Could you a lot of different things you hit me with. I think one thing I just want to take out is, it got to a point where you're like, I want to see someone. Was there any nerves or any fear?
Yes, I was very nervous.
Okay.
And especially as somebody who's in front of the camera for a career as my vocation, I wasn't necessarily expecting to be nervous. But I think that, it was virtual. I went through a kind of going back and forth about the cost and how much I would pay, and I kind of had one of those moments where I said, hey, look, if I can buy a couple $100 pair of shoes and just press send, then I can just press send on this. So we set everything up, and I try to be about my business, so I ask a lot of questions via email, like what do I need to bring, do I need to do this, do I need to do that, and the gentleman was just like, you just really need to bring yourself. But there were a lot of nerves, and also just a lot of nerves about if I was going to be truthful. I think I talked to some people that had did therapy before, and it's kind of useless if you're going to lie to the people. And I found out that some people do that. I think sometimes people might do therapy so that they can tell their friends or family members that they've done it, without actually having done it. So yeah, there were a lot of nerves, but I got over it pretty quickly. I felt like I was in a safe space, and he just started hitting me with jewels, and I was like, well, damn, looks like I got a journey that I need to go on. So it's been a beautiful process thus far. I feel like, now having done it for, several months, I feel like I have tools that I didn't have before, to be able to address issues before they turn into mountains, to be able to do maintenance when those things that bother you, your insecurities, as he put it, your lower self, when your lower self starts trying to, steer you in a direction, like I said, you have tools to where you can, recalibrate. I can go back and look at the transcripts from the sessions and remember what I was told about certain issues, and it helps me, get through my day. It helps me get through those, those tough moments where, mentally it can be draining. So
yeah, okay. Thank you, appreciate that. You definitely hit so many like big parts that just giving people knowledge on the other side of the chair, where don't get me wrong, I'm human, I'm not Professor X, I can't read minds, but reading body language, posture and stuff like that, I have to make note of that. And I don't know how many times as therapists we talk about when people come in, they're like, oh, he did this and things like that, and then we that's only one side of the story, boo-boo. we ain't getting the whole story. And I actually commend you for being a first-time person and then really having that, I'm going to bring my full self in there, because I get in session 6 and 7, and they're like, well, there's a part 2 to that story. And I'm in the back of my head, I'm like, fucking do it. And I'm just like, okay, whether you did some criminal things or not, just the more I know, the better I can help you. And I just really commend you as a person, one, for checking that early and having that energy to, I want to do this now. And I know I'm calling up a conversation we had off camera, but I think you kind of alluded to it well. But when you have a physical ailment and how we are quick to get that fixed, but when it's a mental health thing, we wait. I was wondering, how'd you come up with that? Or how, I'm just curious, because how you crafted that was very eloquent. I was like, that's so true.
I don't know. I'm just good with words. I come up in the theater. That's one of my gifts. And when I've been trying to articulate my journey to other people, I've just been trying to do it in the most succinct way that I can. I think that I went into the sessions with openness because of my career. A lot of times when you meet people and you tell them that you're an actor, the first thing that they want to talk about is how you lie. And acting is about lying. And every actor knows that the craft is a pursuit of the truth, and it's a pursuit of honesty, and it's a pursuit of trying to convey the human experience to the audience. That's why certain films are so powerful, whether they're 12 Years a Slave or, you go down the list of films that really affect you or performances that really affect you and really resonate with you. And that's because they come from a truthful place. So you can't go into, I can't do the work that I did on Rectify without truth, without it being connected to Troy Davis, who was being executed at the time while I was, portraying somebody being on death row. You can't navigate the spiritual moments of my character, accidentally shot this young girl and I may meet her in the afterlife. That's a pursuit of truth. So when I sat down for the first session in front of my computer, I had my windows closed and they ask you certain questions about what happened. And there's this, I feel like there's always this moment where sometimes in conversations, time slows down. On Rectify, they always say this thing about there's the time in between the seconds. And sometimes it feels like that where, there's that moment and it's fast in real time, but in your mind, you're telling a story and you get to that speed bump where you can say, yeah, I was doing X, Y, Z and I didn't, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's that moment when your mom or somebody asks you, where were you? And then you know that your lower self is telling you to lie, but your higher self is saying this could spark the conversation that you need to spark. So when I had those moments in therapy, I leaned into them and, just kept it a buck, because that's the only way I'm going to get help. Otherwise, it's just a waste of my money. It's a waste of my time. And then the person can't, drop jewels on me. And I wanted to be better. I wanted to, I always have the physical, I think, because the physical things are so much easier for people to understand. You can't fix your jump shot if you don't have an accurate assessment of your jumper. You can't, if you, like I said, you're alluding to
Simmons.
Okay. But, like I said, with the physical metaphor, you don't really hear, if you fall off a cliff and break your femur, you don't meet that person at the bar with a festering wound a few weeks later, and you say, well, "Yo, man, what's wrong with your leg?" And they're like, "Oh, sorry, I'm not comfortable. I'm not comfortable getting this looked at just yet. I'm not there yet." No one says that, but a lot of times when it comes to mental health, when it comes to your mental well-being, I think we're very good at diagnosing our problems and saying we have daddy issues, or we have this thing happen to me in my relationship, or this thing happened to me when I was a child, or my relationship with my mom is like this. I think we're very good at diagnosing those things to get pats on the back, and as far as like in conversation where somebody can say, yes, that happened to me too. But then there's another piece after that, to where in your quiet moments, whatever those are, you have to actually deal with that, so that those things don't become, demons that hold you back from the rest of your life. And, I didn't want to be in that situation where I'm 50 years old still doing the same stuff that, was happening when I was 20, that I was, afraid to tackle.
All right. Well, I have a couple more things, because with this segment, I don't want to make like your experience as monolithic, because hopefully I'll have someone who's like, I tried therapy and it fucking sucked, and like we could talk about it like it fucking sucked. Couple of things, because a lot of things like first timers.
I think it is gonna suck. Let me just put that out there, because it's hard dealing with yourself. Sometimes it's very hard to tell the truth. It's hard to tell the truth to yourself. Mm-hmm. So it's hard to take constructive criticism. We don't live in a society that does that very well, whether in the macro or the micro, which is why we have all of these mechanisms that give us superficial validation, whether that's Instagram or Facebook. Like, we put things on those spaces, we put our comments out to be liked, to be validated, some people want to be put on a pedestal in a lot of ways, whether that's in faux activism, whether that's because you look handsome or sexy today and all that. And in some respects, those things can be great, but in a lot of respects, they're really toxic, and they're used as a wall. I mean, it was, I remember, I was just watching that show, I May Destroy You, on HBO. It's a fantastic show. You should really check it out. But there's a moment where she's dealing with her sexual assault and her interaction with social media. It's just a really profound tour de force in a certain respect, because I think a lot of times it's easy to have propaganda about these issues, but to really dive into the nuance and the kind of the muck and grime of how these things can affect you in a long form way, like, it's crazy. So, like, it's funny, like, my first session with my therapist, I was, going through my spiel, and, I'm a personable, fun guy. Like, I wasn't, like, in the session crying and all this other kind of stuff. Like, I was being me, and I said what I always say. I was talking about a certain situation, and I said, one of my favorite characters is Megatron, and, treachery requires no mistakes. And he said, he was like, Johnny, may I stop you and say something? I was like, sure, man, say what you want to say, brother. What's going on? And he said, I'll never forget. He said, you do know Megatron is a villain, right? Exactly. So that's one of those moments where your, for lack of better words, your fuckery is kind of held in front of you, to where you can say, come on, man. You can access, and for me, I said, wow, I've been accessing my resilience, my perseverance through a villainous vehicle. I can access those same things from a positive point of view, where now I don't automatically think the worst of people. I don't think that people are automatically out to get me. I've been able to address my paranoia, which is something I know I talked about in the sessions, that is probably part environment and then maybe part genetics in some kind of weird cauldron, where that has affected, relationships that I've had, both romantically and friendship wise, that can affect your career and things like that. So, then you just kind of sit there, like I said, and you just take it in. And some things I thought I understood after session 1, I didn't really understand until a couple months later. But it's a tough process. It was something that I talked about with my friends, and it was much more beneficial than turning to, drugs or alcohol or any of those other kinds of things, because I portray these things on TV. So those things, all they do is they just empower the demons, man. They just empower them, and you kind of need to exercise those things so that you can be free. Freedom is a lot more than just being able to go to the shoe store and being able to travel and doing those things. You want to have mental freedom as well.
I'm coughing because I swallowed some spit. I'm not gonna lie, I've been working through it for the last 10 minutes. So if you see a tear crumb up, this is a lot of empathy and emotion, but I'm also choking. Anywho, I have a question for you, because we both grew up in Beast Wars, and the Megatron you speak of is not the Megatron that the world knows of. So I just want to throw at you. I know, change the mantle. Is it more like Rat Trap now? Rat Trap is a great guy, because I don't see you as an Optimus Prime guy, or
No, I don't even look at myself now through the lens of any of those characters.
All right.
I'm trying to be Johnnyraygill. I'm trying to build my legacy. And that's legacy in my family. That's legacy in my family that is to be, if and when I get married or have children, all those things.
You will.
I'm trying to build the legacy of what my career is going to be and how that manifests itself with activism and art. So I've been exploring inside myself. I know one of my favorite books that I read, that I've gone back to in this journey, is Letters to a Young Poet. And they always talk about going inside yourself. People are always trying to find themselves out in the world. And, you quickly find out that you need to kind of go inside the caves of you. And that's where you can find peace. That's where you can find the validation that you truly only need. So you're doing the work that you want to do, and it comes from a beautiful, an earnest place. I think therapy's taught me a lot about being earnest and asking myself, what are my real intentions before I send a text message or have a conversation. Why I ask myself why I'm doing certain things before I do them. Mm-hmm. I remember he said in one of the sessions, before you send a text message, you really have to think, because you can never get that back. And I just did it because time is of the essence. We never know how long we're going to be on this planet. Time is the most important resource. It can't be gotten back. So, this process has been tough, but I feel a metamorphosis. I feel like I was in a cocoon. It was a tough one. It was dark. It was dank. And now I'm, the wings are coming out, and then you fly. And then whoever you have to leave behind, whoever, whatever, I don't know. For some people, it's a metamorphosis in a career aspect, in a family, friendship, romantically, whatever. You got to get busy living or get busy dying. And a lot of times, death is that metaphorical death where you're like the Walking Dead, because you haven't dealt with here. And I don't want to be living in those things. So there's some things, like I said, that you do when you're a young person. And I don't even want to put an age on that, because you could be a young person and be whatever age. So, just trying to put away some of those things. And then when they creep up and be like, yo, you should blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, we're going to I'm going to rely on my tools now that I have. And, you know, some days, like I said, it gets tough. But like I said, I can open up my laptop, click open Word, and read what this brother said and go, I need to have compassion. I need to have empathy. I need to not be paranoid. You know what I'm saying?
And let him go.
And you need to let some things go. You know, sometimes you're not going to get the answers you want. And you have to be okay with that, because not everybody's in a place to provide answers. Not everybody's in a place to, you know, be truthful, even if they do give you answers, because not everybody's comfortable with their own self. But then again, that goes back to the seeking validation from others and putting them on a pedestal, because then that allows the other person to have control over your peace. I've learned a lot about, you know, I've learned a lot about what I can control. And for the large part, you can't control the actions of other people. You can only control your response to those actions. You know, just because some people act like they're in high school doesn't mean you have to. So, you know, it's been a beautiful process. Like I said, some things are really hard, and that's another thing too with this therapy thing. A lot of times people, I feel like in our community, we have a lot of trauma from, you know, regular just human stuff, but then also societally and all these things. And, you know, therapy is not something that we normally talk about in our communities and stuff. But, you know, it's not going to be easy. But I just watched that Chadwick speech that he did at Howard, and he talked about going the hard road because it's more fulfilling. Frederick Douglass says there's no progress without struggle. So there's these, you know, these superheroes of ours that say this, and I think a lot of times for people, they hear it, but are you listening? You know what I'm saying? And, you know,
so much, and like, you did an excellent job, because I was definitely going to ask you about, you know, the black community. I do have one question that a lot of people do ask, so like two more, but like you definitely asked, read my mind, because I was going to ask you about our community. And what I like to say about our community is that's generational trauma. Like, and I could be off with the number, I think it's like 250 years or 400 years of like slavery, and then you have Jim Crow, you have all the civil rights, we have all these different errors, and like, we're taking on our ancestors, and you have to correct me if I'm wrong, we're like Ghanaian, Ghana.
Well, we did an ancestry, and we're mostly Ghanaian.
There we go. Sorry, Josh. I'm not Nigerian anymore. So,
but you have to do your own. You never know. There might be some.
We from the same cloth. Stop, cut it out. But no, what you're talking about is like, yo, when was there ever a period for black people to take a break to process, not deal with, but process all the shit that we've been through? And what you're talking about is generational trauma. It's a lot when I talk with a lot of black people. I'm not gonna say people of color, black people. Generational trauma that we go through, and then the climate and the time that we're in also doesn't help too, where it's kind of like that paranoia, things like that. I want to normalize that with you as well. I have the same thoughts too. I'm walking downtown Portland and I just want to shop, or like I have my hoodie on because I don't want people to see my hair, and I'm like, they don't think I'm a threat. Or sometimes, like yesterday, I was like, I got a mean mug, but my Naruto shirt's gonna throw him off because they're like, he's anime. Yeah. You know, stuff like that. So it's just, when will it come a time for us as a people to understand? And the reason why I got into this therapy gig is like, cause the training, because like I made sure I was purposeful with people who trained me, where they challenged me to meet some of the things that you talked about, where I'm like, all right, you know, how I grew up, not the best, you know, love life, working on that, stuff like that, where like I had to look at who Robert was. And like I told myself in college, I don't want anyone. And then what my purpose, speaking of Chadwick, my purpose is to help people not feel what I felt like I was in college. And I was like, what way can I do that? Therapy. And like, and once again, off camera, we talked about this so much, and the hard road is making those hard decisions. And it's decisions that we don't want to make. And it's kind of like, sometimes we don't know where we close this door, we don't know, or we're moving away from these people, what doors are going to open up. And are we fighting what should be happening? Like, should we keep this person? And it's like so many different things. And I think therapy gives people that opportunity for you to make that decision for yourself, and just to bring it all full circle of what you're saying, is just of how I'm just conceptualizing everything is just like, what is my peace? What do I let go? What do I keep? Who do I want to be around? How do I want to grow? What's my purpose in this life? And I think if more people would do that, not just for, you know, the legacy you're trying to bring, because you're going to do all those things, because the inner peace that people, because I've seen people talk about people that have the money, have all this, but like, do you really, are you good with here? I keep up so many different things because I'm at peace. And that's pretty much what I want to help and give to other people, is that peace. And if we're talking about having a different, I call them a different generation. Oh, they call it generation curses, but like a different like positive thing we pass on. That peace, because I know this peace and stuff that you have, you're gonna give to your children, or people you think is worth your time. So, I definitely commend you, and like no. So I'm sorry. I this is what I'm not supposed to be doing, because I do this on the show. I'm sorry. I always do this because I'm so passionate about this shit, because this is what I know what I'm here on this earth to do, is to give people that. Because my superpower is I can absorb people's disdain, hate, and all that. I don't know why I have this talent and skill where I can differentiate between myself, where like that's someone else's, this is my own stuff. This is not going to control me. Where like when people are having a bad day and I'm in a space too, I'm like, yo, talk to me. What's going on? Because I come from a very genuine place. And like when you're good, like in so many ways, I feel like really good, where I'm like, this person's back on the fucking path.
Yeah, and I think it's just a continuous thing. It's never going to be perfect. There is no perfectionism. And, as far as black people are concerned, there's so much, like you said, we have to deal with. 400 plus years of oppression, and all across the planet. And this mental health situation kind of reminds me of the same food situation. There's a mental health desert, just like there's food deserts. So, we're having those conversations with ourselves, and the more, people that look like us that get into these spaces, I think the more comfortable people are going to be. The more, we are an example, that it's okay to dive into yourself. It's okay to go down this road. So it's tough because it's not preached to us. I mean, it's taught that we can, soldier our way on, and black girl magic, and black boy, we got it all figured out, and we're kings and queens and all this other kind of stuff. It's funny, I just saw a post and my friend was talking about how we don't celebrate black regularness. Like, we all weren't kings. We all weren't queens. And that's a part of the trauma of trying to find ourselves in this lost land. And that's something that, we have to, when it comes down to it, man, like, not even to be pretty about it, you got to deal with yourself. And I think a lot of times people want to make it metaphorical. They want to make it about their family. They want to make it about their girlfriend or boyfriend or any of that kind of stuff. You got to deal with your shit. We all have it. It manifests itself in different ways, about different things. When I was talking about paranoia, of course you have that paranoia that you have to deal with on the macro level, whether that's, police brutality. Are you going to be followed in the store? Are you going to get murdered if you get pulled over by the police? But then also you have that paranoia that comes in a relationship. Do I really trust this person? Am I going through their phone, or are they going through mine? Am I really jumping off this cliff in a real way? To actually, when I say jump off the cliff, I mean to actually trust this person, right? And those are things that you have to deal with. And our culture doesn't help. You know what I'm saying? Every song is some dude cheating, got 3-4 chicks and all this other kind of stuff. Every it doesn't, we have very immature conversations when it comes to sexuality and sensuality and intimacy. And, I one of the things that came up in my session, that I'll share, literally I would say the entirety of my adult life, you're in group chats and dudes are sharing videos and pictures of what they're doing with other folks, and sometimes it be with people's wives, and sometimes it be with other people's girlfriends, and all this other kind of stuff. And you think like when you watch Love and Hip Hop, or you think like when you eat that Twinkie, it doesn't affect you, but it just eats away at your insides slowly over time, and then you don't even realize you've kind of internalized this narrative about women, and even more specifically black women, that you say that you really care about and love, and it kind of degrades the conversation between black men and black women, and it kind of creates this disconnect. And then you say, wow, I didn't even realize that was something that I was struggling with and taking into relationships, because you want to jump off the cliff, you love someone, but then there's that thought that like, they was just in Vegas and this chick was just doing XYZ, this, that, and the third. And women have that conversation about men as well. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? So those are things that where you say, well, I think it may be time for me to remove myself from some of these group chats. I think it may be time for me to remove some of this iconography. So that's the process, to where in therapy they can talk about it's, they immediately bring it back to you, and there's no escape from that. And that's the, we allow that in sports, but we don't really allow that in anything else, which is kind of comedy.
I say this.
So again, even in that example, it comes back to me. I'm in the group chat. I made the decision and the choice to be there. So I also have the power to make the decision and choice to leave that and say, that's not energy that I want on my spirit. You know what I'm saying? That's not energy that I want surrounding me, because it's going to affect my relationships. It's going to, and all those other sorts of things. So, it was just a big, like I said, looking at myself process. And as they always tell me, that doesn't mean that people haven't done you a disservice. It doesn't mean that someone has done wrong by you. But we're going to talk about you and how you're navigating all of that, and then what did you contribute, what can you do moving forward to, regain your confidence, regain your well-being, and all those things. So like I said, it's just a very beneficial process, and I think the best thing going forward out of all this is that, and everything that I've been through, is just, I got tools now. I got tools that I didn't have before, and whether I get a new therapist at some point, whether I talk to different people, like I said, whether I'm talking to my friends or in my romantic life or any of those kind of things, when something goes down, now all of a sudden I know how to recalibrate. I know how to, like I said, I got some tools. I got some things I can listen to. I got somebody I can call. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times we're trying to navigate some of the most difficult circumstances on our own, because again, I'm a king, I'm a queen, I'm Wonder Woman, I'm this, which is why when you ask me about the superhero thing, I don't do that anymore. About Beachwood, I don't do that anymore, because those are fictional characters that are living in a fictional world, and a lot of times we don't need to be superheroes all the time. We need to call somebody and say, I'm hurting about this, and be vulnerable and be open, and not try to muscle through everything. And I was a victim of that. I think a lot of people are. In a lot of respects, our culture teaches us to do that. So.
Well, what do you call it? I always say things and then don't stick to them. This is meant to be like a 10-minute thing, but we're bumping up. I'm gonna make sure we in at a certain time. But
you can just chop it into multiple episodes.
Yeah, nah, we'll see. I don't know how this will play out. Ending thoughts. Ending thoughts.
Be brave. We're vote in November. Please vote. Please vote. We are on the verge of authoritarianism here in this country. If you think the mental trauma is bad now, just wait. If the orange man gets 4 more years, and his cronies all the way down the GOP, vote in your local elections, It's not just about what happens in the general. Whether you're watching this in Minnesota or Oregon or Georgia, you need to be paying attention to what's going on locally on the ground, and take care of yourself. These are hard times. We're still dealing with a pandemic. Sometimes people have been isolated for such a long time. And take care of yourself. Try to live your dreams the best way you can. Smile, you know. Work on what you say that you want to work on. Get it done. There's no time like the present. And love and love hard. You know what I'm saying?
All right. You heard it here first. Johnny. That's what I want people to see him as first, Johnny. Because for anything else, before any of the accolades or, you know, all these things he is him first. And I think that's what I really want people to see, and his experiences and mental health and all that stuff is manly. Look, you go to therapy, you get a six-pack.
That's that food therapy. That's a whole other conversation right
so
there.
You think I'm gonna let you leave, but you out here naked on
It's
the
hot.
show. It's hot.
It's hot outside. And I'm running out of clothes. I extended my trip. So.
Last thought. How does it feel to have a therapist for a brother? Not just like the school therapist. Like, I'm an actual, like, licensed by state. Like, I have my provisional license type of thing. Am I the same person, or am I a little different?
I don't think too much about or remark about if you are different or any of that kind of stuff. I just hope that the therapist has a therapist. I just hope that the therapist is addressing their own issues and all that kind of stuff. I don't want you to be a TV show character where, we come in episode 1 and, there's this great therapist and helping everybody with his problems, but secretly you've got these issues that you haven't, dealt with, for drama's sake. That's the one thing that I can say about the people that I worked with and over the summer, is that it was very clear that they had dealt with their stuff. Mm-hmm. You can just feel like the way they're, and like literally every time there would be some question, I would be on the phone with my mom, or I'd be on the phone with my best friend or my other friends, and we would come to this and again, I know intellectuals. I'm not talking to, Sally Boo Boo, like that's just saying, saying crazy stuff, like these are people that I respect and intellectually, and we would be like, I was sure that the therapist was going to say this. And then he would say this. And I would be like, okay. And then next I would be like, yo, he is 100% going to say X, Y. And then he would say the exact opposite. Because their goal was not to try to get you to get revenge or a really witty remark or to be petty or all these things. And you don't, or you don't realize that some of the things that you're doing are seeking validation. You don't realize some of the things that you're doing is putting people on a pedestal. You don't realize that some of the things that you're doing, they make seem like, like a genuine thing, but it can read to somebody else as completely different. So it was dope to be like, well, all right. And I just kept telling people, I said, look, this is what we think, and whatever the therapist say, that's what I got to try. I got to do that. So,
All right. Well, you still see me the same. That's okay.
I mean, no, not the same. Like I said, I don't.
Oh no, it's fine. It's fine. I will just say this, because you're probably the only person, unless I bring Angie on here, which that would be wild. I'll just say this: I had to lose. I'm gonna lose parts of myself to gain my inner true self, and I just want to say, for the inner peace that I have to help other people, I want to give a shout out to my my community, my village, the Josh, the Georges, the Andrews, other people I'm not mentioning. I would say you, and there's a lot of stuff that, for you to sit in this chair to give your opinion on someone else's life, you have to be at peace with a lot of different things where, but that's for a different topic, a different day. But I just want to let you know that I truly have. Even though some people think I'm not at peace with certain things, I'm super at peace with some stuff. I'm just like, that's okay, because I'm not going to let that stop me. But the true testament of a lot of this stuff is owning up to those things where it's kind of like, for me, and we've definitely talked about this before, where it's kind of like, I'm trying to talk about realness. I have no time to get, Jada Pinkett Smith, where I'm like, you should do this about your life, but you really have a problem. Like, I make mistakes every day. I'm, owning up and living up to that. I even talk to clients about that. Well, not about my personal business, but like, hey, I make mistakes too as well. And humanizing and trying to take down that, like, this pedestal, because I feel like I connect more by like, yo, I've walked this path too. I've done it before you, different clip. But I know if I can walk over the coals, you can too. And I'm still walking over them right now. Because I feel a lot of therapy is a lot of good modeling too. Where now we're about to get into a whole different discussion about like, because like I feel you about legacies and things like that. Because like when people look at me and the people that I'm around, I'm like, I want to be around that dude, Rob. We're like, all right, his friends can hold him accountable. His brother can hold him accountable. Look at his kids, all this other stuff. But because I know what I'm doing, and Constant's gonna say, you're always doing this. This is supposed to be 20 minutes, but we had a Chris 40, but it's cool. I think I know how to do it this. But this has been a pleasure, and I want to say thank you for one. How can I put this? I want to say thank you for allowing yourself to share certain stuff. I definitely talked to you about this, and I just want to say thank you again, because this is sharing your soul. And by all means, of course, I want this to, blow up, do magical things, but like this is for people, because legacy about when I die, I want people to look back and be like, Rob, like he really cared about everyone getting right. It's like, just because I lose you as a friend doesn't mean I'm your enemy. It's like, I still want you to get yours, type of stuff, where it's kind of like, I think people really don't understand what that is. And we can talk about the crab in the bucket type things, but that's neither here nor there. But I just really want my people, everyone else, mental health. But this is Why Not Trying Mental Health with your favorite, I'm not the Casanova today, I'm the therapist, Robert. So this has been my initiative and what I do and what I love to do best. Check me out on the YouTube, or no, slurred the words, the YouTube and the Instagram. Hopefully, I'm saying, let's get 30 views on this. Let's go. I'm feeling this is the gun. But this has been Rob. This has been Jay. This has been our experiences. Thank you.
Get it though. You probably wondering if I think of you. Sorry, I'm for the bag right now. Yeah, I'm for the bag right now. Yeah, for the bag that I never had. Yeah, you probably mad right now. Yeah, I got a 2-piece now. Shit, I think they call them groupies.